This build combines two of my favorite builds I've seen this league. The first of these is Mole's Hexblast of Contradiction Mana Stacker, bringing Omeocan, Unblinking Eye, and Reclaim Malevolence with Frostmage together. For this, mana gives base damage to Frostmage for the main skill, while also giving its usual generic benefits and scaling with mana. Omeocan, or the Vestigial Implicit, also makes mana grant evasion, giving me a ton of increased evasion that then turns into increased spell damage through the Unblinking Eye helmet. Now, while Frostmage is usually quite awkward due to the high mana cost of things, Reclaim Malevolence grants me the From Below Ascendancy node, allowing my spells to be cast regardless of mana restrictions. For context, this part of my shell gives me about 800% increased spell damage. The other part of this shell is inspired by Seb K's mana stacking Charlatan, Shock Nova Hyra, specifically more like the Cluster's Jewel setup. Now, I'd say on balance, his build is straight up better and a great thing to follow. I'd be happy to recommend it at all times, but some of the base damage is premised around what I think is a bug that I'm not sure will be existing in future mid patches, allowing mana to still be recovered despite allocating from below, through sources like Watcher's Eye, Mana Masteries, recover mana on skill use, or mana on kill. I still think it's a great build, it's fantastic, can't vouch enough for that particular setup's longevity though. On this setup, I'm opting for Rolling Magma because it's got pretty solid numbers. It's got a base effectiveness of 320% and can hit a total of 13 times when paired with Nimbus. To help the hit rate, Pact of Badat grants 6 additional projectiles and a 35% more damage bonus on top. So it's kind of just an all-rounder skill, ramps up great with shrine buffs, has solid clear and honestly fantastic visuals. Rather than opting for Headhunter though, as a lot of Charlatan builds do, I've gone for Mageblood instead to have a more consistent gameplay cycle, reaching 90 max res in my planned POB, about 16k evasion, 16k energy shield, ES overleach with the Ghost Dance tech, and enough damage to at least trivialize Uber bosses without any buffs active. Let's get into this POB really quick. So I'll also link my actual character. I'm probably going to switch it to something to mirror this setup basically today. And just to note, so I grabbed this node with the Jewel, Reclaim Malevolence. You haven't already seen it. It transforms one of your Sensi nodes. You can divide that up or use one of the tools available to see which node it grants. You want to turn this into From Below, which is the Sensi I mentioned. And then I'm taking these things for the mana stacking and then yoinking the Forbidden set from Radiant Faith. So basically, all this mana I get gives me a ton of energy shield. I think it's responsible for like 70% of my ES, just that mana stacking. It is sort of an ugly tree because, well, as you know, stackers in the late game, both in PoE 2 and 1, just stack a ton of jewels. This is not a fun build to gear. The jewels are really painful. The largest aren't even that bad to craft. I didn't make this one properly. I did craft this one, and you just like start with a fracture. And yeah, it's a lot of alterations, a lot of Foulborn Regals, and then using the boat to slam. The small clusters are virtually impossible to make perfect ones of. I mean, ideally, I'd be looking for 35% increased effect, T1 int, T1 all attributes, and T1 mana. The problem is that these mods have tiny weights, like 100 weight out of almost 20,000. So really painful to do. It's probably what's going to stop me from pushing this build that much further. But yeah, this is the tree. One thing to note, I am taking some life nodes. Why? I want to play Inspire Learning for some of my mapping. It's like Baby Headhunter. It is quite good. I actually don't like Headhunter that much as well, just in general, because I hate Shroudwalker. So this kind of sets me in between. And the other nodes aren't terrible either, so yeah, this is that. Also, I am running Runegraft of the Warp. This is really great because I am left-clicking Pact of Badat. With enough cast speed, you don't really feel it, and it's really powerful, and this does sort of negate the downside. Pantheons for this are kind of up to you. A lot of people like to go Aracali when they're playing Badat. I don't personally. I still think if you're like lazy with how you did your construction, Solaris is going to be better for a lot of your juice mapping. And then over here, just depends on what I'm doing. Like, if I'm doing, let's say, Titanic strategies, then I'm going Raslotha and doing some regen stuff. If I'm doing generic mapping with Exarch altars, I'm probably going for Aberrath, right? For that Burning Ground immunity. So yeah, that's that. Skill-wise, I'm going to play Rolling Magma. It's got Echo, Frostmage, Invert as like kind of and Greater Chain, so really cool. This is level 1. Why is this level 1? It doesn't get a damage bonus when you level up. It only gets increased chaining range, which I don't think I really want because I feel like that just probably makes Rolling Magma single target worse. I'm running increased crit damage. The reason I'm running this is because when you do get a Diamond Shrine, which is pretty much always when you're mapping, it's like the best support pretty much, like 64% more damage. You can also run things like Overloaded Intensity, go for Intensify or Pinpoint setups, but I'm not really confident in those, and I felt like the uptime wasn't great while I was mapping. The other skill I have sort of is a Wintry Blast setup, so I intend to craft Insanity Gloves, which give more cast speed. It's my primary movement, Wintry Blast with faster casting, Echo, and I do have Frostmage for some extra supplemental damage, because, you know, why not? In my helmet, I got a Frost Blink with Bone Chill, more duration unbound. Now, I could take this, right? Bitter Frost, give the automatic, but I don't like that for 2 reasons. Firstly, it precludes the use of explode sources that aren't cold. You'd have to convert that, or like Gloomshine, I think just doesn't work with this, probably, I think. And then secondly, I do have some flat damage that's fire-based from rolling magma still. It's about 15%, I think, of my damage. So yeah, it's better not to take that node. Auras-wise, I'm putting my auras in my weapon, and I do want to reserve as close to all of my mana as possible, right? Because Frost Mage actually scales off the amount of reserved mana. So I got Flesh and Stone, Period of Elements, Discipline, Asmart, Clarity. The Clarity is pretty much just to enable a Watcher's Eye, which gives me extra ES for my max mana. That's really solid. And then the only thing I'm missing now is this, which is the Pact of Baydat linked with CDR, Faster Casting, and Vol Haste. Yes, there's a downside Pact of Baydat. No, I don't really notice it, honestly, unless it's the action speed one, but I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, it's so powerful and hard to ignore. Gearing wise, it's a pretty cool setup. I have Charlatan as my main thing. Unblinking Eye gives me +2 max res. And the max res sources, if you want to look at them, just look over here. It's really painful to get to 90, and there's a few different ways to do it, but yeah. I want to play a regular Twilight Regalia, mostly for max res, going for attributes and int on the suffixes. I'm using Phantom Mitts on this. The reason is because I do want to play with Ghost Dance. And when you have Ghost Dance, I need to click Ghost Reaver as well. So when you have Ghost Dance on this, it's really, really sick because, I mean, it's been mentioned a lot of times before, and we've talked about this in previous gauntlets, but if your evasion max is lower than your energy shield max, and you have this, you can never recover to full ES. So what that means is that your ES will keep on trying to recover itself when you're on full ES, and that means your leech will never stop because you've reached full energy shield. So it basically grants overleech energy shield if you're set up correctly with these two numbers balanced right. Really nice setup when it's possible. It does get kind of weird when you hit the impenetrable shrine, but actually it just makes it so that you have less of an energy shield bonus, but I actually don't lose my overleech on this because of how my increases are balanced. Over here, Sintrek. So I moved the Vestigial off of Mayocan over to Sintrek. It's better defensively, I think slightly worse offensively, but I don't really care. A Simplex Amulet for instackers. This looks fairly classic. Arcane Potency is my anoint of choice because, again, you do hit Diamond Shrine sometimes. A Nimbus enables that single target overlap from rolling magma with a lot of its chains. And then Chevron's Revelation is a great second ring, gives you a ton of flat mana, gives you flat regen. I don't care about the downside of no regenerating mana because I have that Abyssal Jewel. And then it also gives you sweet implicits when you can go find them. This was like 10D when I got it. I got a Mage Lord with percent int as well because, I don't know. I don't really know what to do with currency this league. Forbidden Set. This is Radiant Face from the Guardian. I'm running a Watcher's Eye that I mentioned. Healthy Mind converts my life pool up here. I think this is generally worth doing. A Natural Instinct or Foulborn Natural in that location isn't bad either. And then my small clusters I've already talked about, and the large I've already mentioned as well. The last thing, this Megalo. So this Megalo helps me hit max res cap, gives me +2 fire, which I do need, as you can see there. +1 all off this, and then Genius, which is like a solid node. I don't think this is like necessarily high value, for instance. I think getting a rare jewel would perform immensely, right? Because you can get like 45, 50 crit multi on a jewel, which would be insane for when you hit that diamond shine. So that could be a better option. All in all, I think a really fun build to play. Got a great shell. Mostly when you play Charlatan builds, they don't perform well outside of maps, but I really want to ensure that this build could do really well even when you're not in maps, even when you're just like wanting to boss, even when you're wanting to do stuff that isn't that juiced, and have that feel really good. So yeah, this is this. I'll be trying one more project out on softcore trade with a little bit of a cringe setup using Southbound and Mercs and whatnot, but this is looking like probably an FSC for me. See you guys soon.